Yeah, it's just a button that say broadcast. When you the administrator, and then they got a what you need to get is an app. You download this app, and you got StreamYard, or you got what's the other one? It's two of them. StreamYard. Can't remember the other one right now, but you can, when you download this app, you can simulcast to all social media platforms.
I want to say peace to the gods and the goddesses before we get started. I want to say peace to the ancestors, peace to our beautiful universe and our beautiful planet. Peace.
And we come in peace, so we don't have to make nobody leave in pieces. They should come the same.
That's right.
But you know, we take it how it come. They bring it. We gonna deal with what they bring, whoever they be.
Because we got all the receipts. We got them all queued up.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that they hate, man. Them receipts, man. They be wanting me to shut up, and then when I start dropping receipts, this shit contagious, man. The truth is contagious. When motherfucker dig them jewels out the pile and put it on the top and say, well, what about this? Can y'all answer for this? A whole lot of people get in their feelings. Most people are in their feelings because they feel like, why you the one figured that shit out, nigga? You ain't smarter than me. That's right. How they feel. And I be like, you right. I'm not smarter than you. I just know what I study. Every goddamn thing.
Certain people are getting pushed by the energies and the ancestors of this plane right now. That's what's happening. And everybody got an ego in today's society, you know.
I don't care about their ego. They can have all the ego they want to. They fight these receipts, don't fight me. Because I'm not the one to be fucked with. And for real, I'm not the one to be fucked with. I come, you know, I'm thugged out, motherfucking gangster disciple, motherfucking backwoods crawler, underbelly of the community type motherfucker. So my OG told me stop gang banging and start brain banging and hit the books. I said, all right, Larry, if that's what you need me to do, I'm gonna hit the books. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking for, but I'm looking.
That's it. You got the Akashic record. You got the Akashic record. You are the book. It's just going to help you guide yourself right back to yourself. Next thing you know, you're doing these extraordinary things, and it deserves appreciation. And I appreciate it, definitely.
Yeah, you know, people be thinking everybody that come out here be having an ulterior motive. Man, I asked the motherfucker for nothing.
That's right.
This how you get to see clearly who not us. The ones us that recognize that, I mean, that brother ain't asked for a dime. And when people try to ask for money on his behalf, he give them a caveat. Look, man, I ain't doing this for money. I'm doing this for my people. Then, now our people recognize that, but the dirty motherfuckers don't recognize that.
Right.
They be like, he lying. He making it up. Nigga, why would I make this shit up? Leave my motherfucking $50,000 a year job. Give away all my motherfucking material assets. So I don't got no responsibility. So I could just sit on here and tell y'all motherfuckers the truth. That don't sound like that's a motherfucker that's just gonna make some shit up to me.
Right. People don't realize what really goes into what we doing and how much it weighs on you. Knowing this information, I mean, it's a double-edged sword at times.
Yeah. And I will swing that motherfucker in the left or right. And I will chop straight up the middle with the tomahawk so they can get it how they want it.
That's right.
I don't bother people. But when they bother me, I'm a Scorpio. I'm gonna sting that ass. You know, so
yes. I appreciate it. I'm ready. Let's move the pendulum.
Like G Dep say, I'm ready, and I was born ready, and I was already fish and spaghetti.
That's right.
You know, we stay ready. We don't got to get ready.
Hey, that
So
joint
D
that I
Energy,
did.
what was you talking about? You were telling me you wanted him to drop the one joint. I forgot exactly what you were saying.
Oh yeah, Earth was trying to disciple the 13 mother seat, the one you had the receipts for and stuff.
That's what I
The one
want
that,
you to hear. Yeah, I want to
yeah.
hear that.
Look, Big Mama's seat is in the Vatican. It's suspended 30 feet above the Pope's seat.
Okay.
So imagine trying to get on top of a telephone pole. That's the bottom of her chair. Right? If you go to if you pull up Pope's seat and you look up top of it, it's a big ass seat. That's Big Mama's seat.
I got pictures of that.
That's what you were showing me. I got you. Okay.
Okay, when they usurped us, they started in the Middle East. They started in what we know today as ancient Sumer. From the Sumer civilization, they developed the Akkadians. They developed the Babylonians, and this gave rise to what we call the poison rites, the seeing rites. The rites was written by Ninursin. Ninursin is a son of a guy named Enlil. The seeing rites, in order to be a sinner, you got to participate in Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian money magic, and Babylonian sex magic. This is the foundational instruments to the modern day monotheistic religion. Right? So
that's right.
The first religion was created in Rome in 325 AD and called Christian. Right? Then people started asking questions, so about 100 or 200 years later, they wrote the Old Testament as a backstory. And now they couldn't use it on the people in the Middle East because they wouldn't abide by the tenets of Judaism or Christianity. So the Catholic priests created another book called the Quran that comes from the meeting that Alexander had in the garden with those two dudes that's supposed to appear to him. Right? This says Enlil. Enlil is Alexander's father, and they called him Zeus, the son of Zeus. Right? So now they in Europe. They doing Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian money magic, Babylonian sex magic, keeping everybody in Europe poor except the royal family. The Europeans tired of their children coming up missing, tired of their sons being sodomized, and tired of children being cannibalized. So they formed the Great Inquisition, and they started kicking them out of Europe. They started waging war against them first. It wasn't easy. Nobody ain't never asked the question, if it's more civilized Spain, Europe, why did they kick them out? Nobody will ask that question. But they tell the story in the art. That's why you got the Moor with the red and the green on, because that's their colors, eating babies in statuary. That's why Rome got all these grown-ass men images in their artwork of having sex with boys and children. The philosophy that comes out of Rome is the greatest love is between a man and a boy. That's automatic insanity to me. You know, so they get kicked out of Europe. The first place they went was Northwest Africa, and it was called Al-Maghrib at the time. Modern Moors try to tell us the Americas is Al-Maghrib. No, it's not. They cannot find one map where it calls America Al-Maghrib that existed before 1492. All the maps before 1492 got Al-Maghrib as the northwestern portion of the great continent of Africa. Then when you go through the works of Ivan Van Sertima, it's clear there. But then you add in the works of Sheikh Anta. See, these people I don't talk about on a regular basis, but they receiving like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Then you go study the works of Malachi York and Elijah Muhammad. You be like, hold up, something going on here. They telling us something. Then you get Destruction of African Civilization by Chancellor Williams, and he giving you the rundown. He telling you about the war. Then you get Who Betrayed the African World Revolution. See, in the 50s, it was a meeting between the indigenous people of the planet under a guy named Sukarno. Right? It was called the Bandung Conference. And this is where they start coming up with a method to deal with the doctrine that we call white supremacy. Right? White supremacy, you know it as the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. The supplement, which is the great works of Albert Pike, called Morals and Dogma, right? It's telling you that's their whole marching plan. Everything is in there in bits and pieces scattered throughout the books. But the protocols, they say that it's a fabricated document to push the doctrine of anti-Semitism, right? The guy that's supposed to have been the founding father, Adam Weishaupt, was a Bavarian Jew. Right? Right. It's still Albert Pike. It's still George Washington. It's just that in the lodge, they just changed the imagery and changed the name, but they keep the information. Right? It's a great deception. Right? So if we're going to do the great work, we have to recognize the enemy, the adversary. You gotta have a bad guy. You can't have a good guy without a bad guy. Or else you just got a guy. Right? You don't know the good guy till the bad guy comes. Sometimes the good guy mistaken for the bad guy till the bad guy get there. He was preparing the whole time. People didn't like his preparation, so they disgraced him. They turned their back on him. They called him names. They picked on him. But when the enemy at the gate, now they begging for mercy in his help. Because he was telling them the whole time. This is how we end up where we at. So Christopher Columbus, yellow ass nigga, and his navigator, Pietro del Negro, black ass nigga, them the goddamn white man. They came over here to implement something called the white man's burden, to civilize the savages of the world. How the fuck we savages when we got castles?
Right. Mm-hmm. And I got the receipts for that, John, too, from the boy Cordova. I got a bunch of receipts from him where he got his homeboy got his tooth knocked out. They try to go at us on a head-on collision. And Champerton, and it didn't work out for them. They brought 100, then they brought 500. Head-on collision wasn't gonna work for them. They had to do the pen is mightier than the sword.
That's an afterthought, because they came in with military invasion forces. We know it as the Great Gold Hunt, the search for Cordoba, the city of gold. Gold used to be laying on the ground over here. We'd kick that shit. It wasn't nothing but a rock to us. Yeah. Right? They figured out the nature of gold as a superconductor. And that's why they wanted to come over here and get our gold. We didn't deal in metals. We dealt in cultivating the land. We lived with the forests. We didn't have to cut them down.
That's right.
We used to ride. We used to ride around on alligators over here We have a stick riding the alligator like a surfboard. They didn't attack us until they started gator baiting with our babies.
Oh.
See, gators, the alligators, stretch from Florida all the way to Texas. Everywhere in there that was swampy had gators. And we was in communication. And this is actually the home of the Sobek priests of the Americas. They the ones who lived in the swamps. And you had what they call lower swamp dwellers, those who surfed around and had houses built on stilts. Then you had the treetop walkers. Treetop walkers, now you might know a Treetop High Rules, Sky High Gangster Crips, and all of them. Those are Skywalker clans. They used to live in the upper trees. You used to leave Louisiana in the treetops and don't come down to you in the Florida Keys.
Sure.
All of those trees had to been decimated.
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta go back to the great cypress trees of Florida. We had trees in Florida bigger than the trees in California called redwoods. Redwoods is a rapid growing tree. Some of those trees is way older, and they cut them all down.
They cut them all down. They used to be all the way through North America. Now we only got 5% of the redwoods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we had trees. Yeah, we had giant oaks. We had giant redwoods. We had giant walnut trees. When these trees was used for food. Food. The tree toppers, they didn't come down to hunt. They hunted in the treetops. They used to cultivate the fruits and the vegetables. We had different fruits over here than apples, plums, pears, and oranges. We had all kind of fruits over here that don't exist no more because they chopped them all down.
Yeah.
And then they gave us Johnny Appleseed because he brought the apples from Europe to plant over here to replace the land, recultivate the land to make it a European landscape. They know what they was doing. It's all military strategy 101.
I was finna say, in Jacksonville, where my home at, they got this historical tree downtown. That's this tree is so ancient and old. The branches is bigger than the car. They still got this tree downtown. They still got it downtown.
What I do know is that's why they can't get me with the whole you from Africa, the whole Africa out of Africa, John, because the milpa planting system is what we brought around the world. The milpa planting system, the maize, the squash, and the beans, that right there is what creates the terra preta, the black land. We brought that everywhere. That's how we planted the Amazon rainforest. The hyperdominant trees is 227 hyperdominant trees that created millions of species. That is why we called ourselves the she people, because we created all the other people on the rest of the planet. We are the hyperdominant trees of this planet.
You know, not only that, and you look, if you go look at the 7 different phenotypes given to us in Teotihuacan in Mexico, that was where the human species was, the modern species was recreated. There was a breeding program there. That's why they all came over here to get fixed from their genetic defects. They had to come and find the original blood. That's why the one drop of blood doctrine is such a prevalent part of the society, as well as the great melting pot doctrine.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, yeah, that's big. That's big. I also showed that milpa now. I showed the Sumerian. I seen the Sumerian tablets. And on my channel, I showed that the milpa is in that Sumerian. I sent those documents to Z Energy. So if we want to take a look at them, Jones, we could take a look at that. I showed a milpa planting system, and that Sumerian is not holding no pine cone. That ain't no pine cone, because they don't never show you the rest of the depiction. So when I went to see it, I seen the whole depiction. Yeah, so I think we're gonna get to it.
Yeah, I can bring it up right now. Those receipts, what you got?
Okay, there it is. There's one right before that where it's like you can see the pine cone, like they call it a pine cone. I took this picture myself. But
Yeah,
you can
I
see.
got it.
Okay.
I'll pull it up. Hold on. That right here.
That's it right there. There you go. Now, that's what they normally show you on your screen. If you Google search this, you're gonna see that right there. But that's one of the depictions. They have a series of depictions. One of the depictions, he's really close to the plant. Then he comes and he picks the plant, and that's the next one that Z Energy just pulled up. They said that this is a pine cone, but I'm gonna show you how the depictions move. They move the depictions.
I can pull it up. Hold on.
We're gonna get to that bag in a second too, because that bag is different. Yep, there you go. Now, see, this is what they don't show you. The other depictions. You can clearly see on this depiction here that is not a pine cone. He is clearly picking something, but you could, if you don't know the rest of the depiction, you might still say that that's a pine cone, but he's clearly picking something. And 1 second it becomes clear because that's maize. But in the next picture,
I gotcha,
is where it really shows the whole thing. In the next picture, it shows the whole side of the depiction, and that's where it blows everything out the water, man. That ain't no pine cone, and also not that one, but I think it's one more over. We was close. No. That's the milpa itself, but we need the squash and the beans in that depiction. It shows. There we go. That's it right there. If you look close on that, you'll see. If we could get a little zoom. Yeah, we go. You'll see right there in the top. You'll see squash right there, and you'll see beans right there, and beans right there. That right there is the milpa planting system. How we created the terra preta, the black lands, just like chem. That's where this is the beginning of chemistry. This is how the Amazon rainforest is self-sustainable. The depiction of this, you also have that depiction too that shows the actual milpa planting system. But if you don't know, they can tell you that this is a pine cone.
Okay, you talking about right here, right?
Nah, it's the real. There you go, right there. Okay. That is the milpa planting system right here. It's a supportive root system. It's called the Three Sisters. You don't even need no pesticide or barely have to water this plant right here, this system. It thrives and it makes the soil more fertile. It literally, that's the chemistry, the beginning of chemistry. If you're gonna know yourself, or if you want to know people or migrations of people or anything, you better know the dirt.
Okay. You want me to go to the Timbuktu or?
Sure. Well, I mean, we can talk about that too. That's sliding the topic a little bit. But sure, wherever you want to move to. Because of course the people. There we go. There we go. So most of the time, everybody talks about the bags being related to the Sumerian. This is Sumerian this and Sumerian that. But as you can see here in this depiction, this is an Olmec depiction.
All of the ancients had the bag. The bag is the symbolize of the birth.
Well, from my knowledge,
the bag is called the toolkit.
that's right. Bringing knowledge to that land. We're bringing knowledge to these different places. That's what that notebook was showing. It's showing you we're bringing that knowledge to that land. The bags, they all have different stuff in them. They have the one like the God Rod was talking about. He said that they was making people. They were making things. They was making. The one bag shows the Nagas on the side of it making a spinal cord. So yeah, like it's absolutely there's a bunch of different depictions, but in this depiction you could clearly see him holding the bag. If we could get it a little more zoomed in, there's okay.
Hey, I gotta go back, go out and come back in. Something happened to my sound.
Yeah, I knew it was that. Yes, it's I could hear it sound. It sound on and off. Yeah, I go. You want me to just go ahead and let you drop that knowledge right there until you come back in?
So I'll drop it real quick while Rod's coming back up. Okay. That bag, you see the bag. There's the clear. It's clearly a bag in his hand, but that's not Sumerian. And how do we know that's not Sumerian? Because of the X. Can we get a zoom in on that X right there? Right there above his head to the left. There's X's right. It's to the left of his head. And it's in that little area a little bit more. There we go. You see the X's up in there. You see it. Up top to the left right there. You see the X's. That's how you know that is the Olmec. Because the Olmec's real name is the sheep, the Tuttle sheep people. Now, when you see that, you say, how do you know that this is the Olmec, and how do you know the Olmec is from here? Everything. How do we know this knowledge is from here? Okay, because you see the land, it shows the same thing the Maya did when they depicted the sacred geometry shape of Ma. When you see that the Olmec done the same thing. The X is in the landscape. I think we have those depictions on here, but the X is in the landscape. And this is the Tuttle sheep people. So, and they say that the Tuttle sheep are from West Africa, but as far as I know, there is no basalt in West Africa. There are no Olmec heads in West Africa. In fact, you can find some basalt in East Africa, but there is no basalt in West Africa. None.
Look, we dealing with a global civilization of ancient times.
That's right.
There's Olmec statues in Africa, but they ain't from Africa.
That's right.
If you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, he tell you that we was going around the world setting up what's known as the temple priests.
That's right.
The temple priest's responsibility was to teach the people of the local area. Right? We don't want to acknowledge that because it dashes in the face the contemporary idea that Europe civilized the world.
That's right. And also, for the record, I know Bill Carson, which I love his knowledge, but what he don't show you is the Emerald Tablets was found in Mexico.
Yes,
by
they were.
Anatolia.
They was found at the Temple of Quetzalcoatl.
That's right. Well, where's Stokes? That is Stokes.
Yep. And he's recognized in all civilizations around the world by different names. In
That's
India,
right.
they call him Hanuman. In India, they call him Sun Wukong. In the East, they call him Nimrod, the only one them false gods feared.
Talk to him.
Right? Over here, he got several names: Kukulkan, Teotihuacan, and Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl.
Right? So all these different names, it still doesn't change the fact that we gonna let these motherfuckers do whatever they want until we can get rid of them. This is why they was able to destroy the earth like they was, because ain't no sense of fighting these motherfuckers until we can get rid of them. And the only time we can get rid of them is the close of the age. The age closing like a motherfucker in their face.
That's right. We got the sun. We got the new sun. Plus tonight, I'm holding we're doing an offering. We got the planet alignment tonight. You can only see that over the Fertile Crescent lands, which are these lands right here.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that with the naked eye tonight, 25 minutes after sunset.
So we all know about the Congo in Africa, but we don't know that there's a Congo basin on every major landmass. And all the Congo basins is defined by the location of the foliage and the Great River. Right? In China, I think it's called the Yuji River or the Yellow River. It's called the Great Amazon in South America, the Mississippi in North America. We made the Nile. The Nile wasn't always there.
That's right.
We terraformed the earth to make the Nile because after the last great war that we tried to kill everything breathing on this bitch, it was a big crater there. Pompeii had to get blown because it started leaking into what we call the inner earth.
Mm-hmm.
The caverns in the inner earth began to flood the people out. There's people live down there. So they blew Pompeii because the people had a greater grandfather clause to the earth than we did because they'd been here that much longer.
Sure.
Well, I'm saying we, but I'm really talking about surface dwellers. Some of us came from under the ground. Some of us came from the stars.
Yeah.
And cohabited on the surface of the planet. Most of the people that live in the inner earth lived in the inner earth so they wouldn't be affected every 3,600 years by the great motherfucking planet of the crossing.
That's right.
Now, because we end up going to war with the people that's on that planet, they call Nibiru today. We went to war with them. This was the war that decimated Mars, Venus. Venus and Earth was twin sisters at one time. And they was both water worlds. And they both had fluorescent glowing vegetation in the nighttime black light from Saturn. When we had the Great War, the Earth was shifted out of its original orbit, right? And it created the great bracelet called the asteroid belt. And that's not just the remains of Earth, that's several other planets that all got crushed at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they use high technology, science, and sorcery to fix the asteroid belt as the great bracelet. It's supposed to be the barrier to prevent those from this side of the asteroid belt from trying to get to Venus. Venus was what was being protected at the time because it was the second feminine planet in a system of masculine planets.
That's right. That's what just as a matter of fact, 5 days ago, we just had the Fertile Crescent over top of our lands. That's another thing you can only see from these lands while it's happening. So that's when Venus goes behind the moon, and the moon is a red crescent moon, and then you have Mars right here, and you see it depicting, they call it today the cradle of civilization over in Mesopotamia, but no. You can't see that from Mesopotamia.
That's because the only thing that's the cradle of
to the west.
That's the cradle of invasion.
There you go. Talk to him.
Right. When you look at it, when you go back to the Bermudas Wars, this is telling you about the great conflict. Right. They invaded in the Middle East, what we call the Middle East. That's why Thoth set up Egypt. It was a military outpost, Hollywood. That's why they left the holy drama written all over the place.
Oh, that's the I see, and it's crazy because I know I'm seeing, but when you just put that together, when you said that, you were absolutely right. That's where they took, because the Manding languages start with the Olmec. They're the mother of and father of the Manding languages. That's where you start. Manding, mend. It comes from the mend. It's like when a child starts to speak to his mother, like ba ka, all of your chakra sounds. So it's the beginning of languages. That's the Manding languages. Is Arabic. You see, so like you said, that's one of the Chinese, Mandarin. The Mandinka speak some of the languages, like that all comes from here. So yeah, you absolutely right. That is wild.
So that's where they divided the languages up. The Middle East is considered the navel of the earth, where the Kaaba sits. That's the navel. The Yoni is in South Africa.
Dang.
That's wild, bro. That's
Fredo
wild.
Mutwa.
Wow.
Where the Yoni of the earth is actually a underwater spring that floods up water. And the women that were from the priestesses of Oshun would go in the water on a menstrual cycle to purify the earth. It was an old ritual. All this old stuff that they telling us was pagan was our shit that they repurposed for military conquest of the people.
That's right. Talk to him.
So Enlil is the commander of the Sumerian fleet who brought in disharmony to the earth. He the one that so-called rebelled in the heavens in Nibiru. If you go to Inanna Returns, it's written as a novel, but it's more valid than the Bible. It's more valid than the Quran. Inanna Returns come in two parts. It's Inanna Returns and Inanna Hyperluminal. When you read them, you understand that the conflict was about a parthogenic son being born to the goddess that was given control of the earth, because their brothers was making humans in laboratory. She don't need no goddamn laboratory, motherfucker. I drop one out right here. And that's what the whole conflict was over. Mitochondrial rights to the earth as the inheritance versus the the Y chromosome right to rule over the earth. And the rulership of the earth would end up falling into the Y chromosome that came from the mother through parthenogenesis in the beginning. Because that would have been the firstborn of the earthborn parthogenic son of the mother. So John 3:16, for mama so loved the world that she parthogenically produced a son by an immaculate clean conception with no semen, so that he can redeem the earth. He wasn't a sacrifice. He came in order to redeem. He was the redeemer. We don't know nothing about no family redeemer. We start talking about a family redeemer, we start thinking European crown. This shit goes back to the ancient code of kings that ain't even written down. You're supposed to know it by birthright if you're born into the royal family. It's in your DNA. The ancient code of kings is the divine rights of kings to rule. And the divine right of you need a queen to declare that you the king. Unless you born directly to the queen mother, the mother of the king, she's gonna pick the queen to rule with you. That's why they start coming up with some shit called the Oedipus complex. Because the woman she picked got to love you to the same unconditional level of love that your mama do. Your mama don't give a fuck how many girlfriends you have as long as they ain't fighting at your house. Right?
Oh man.
And that's why the woman that she gonna pick don't care if you live a monogamous or a polygamous lifestyle, as long as you don't bring that bullshit to the house.
That's where that comes
from.
Men
gonna be men. Men are naturally men. We supposed to go out and sow our seed, but we supposed to also cultivate that seed and make it become productive in the society.
That's right.
They don't want us raising our seed, so they start giving us this monogamy dogma, and it goes against the laws of nature.
It certainly does.
We are the apex mammal of the planet. There's no mammal with more right of creation powers than the human. Now, all of the rest of the apex mammals, are male polygamists, but the women run the clan. You can look at the lion. They will kick that nigga out if he ain't doing right. If he can't get up and come pull his wildebeest down when we trap this motherfucker, he can't stay here, girl. He got to go.
Yeah.
Right? The gorilla, on the other hand, is primarily a patriarchal tribe. In the patriarch, he can pretty much date who he want, but he only gonna have like 3 or 4 special picks. He ain't gonna fuck everything in the clan because he don't want everything in the clan. He want the most powerful women in the clan to be his consort, to keep the rest of the clan at bay. Because if the most powerful female gorillas respect this silverback, then he's going to be the one that they send their sons to support when he get to oust that old motherfucker that's time to go.
That's right.
We don't study nature, so we don't even know our own nature. Because we don't study self or nature. We don't do no comparative analysis of the two. Why do humans behave this way? Because somebody taught us to act like we less than human.
That's right. When they came here, we already have free energy buildings. This is after our consciousness collapsed, where we were, that's why our pineal gland reads the light and dark cycle. So the light and dark cycle, that's how it rides. So when we hit the dark of the cycle, that's when we can still do our energy buildings. We just can't do stars anymore and pyramids. But now we're coming back to the light cycle again. Now you see the new sun. We spoke about that in Z Energy's last live. And this right here, if you the light, is very important to point your light at the light and don't worry about the dark, because the dark is being purged right now from this planet. Right now, that's why they overturned Roe versus Wade. All of the hellish beings that's incarnated from the blood sacrifice here. And by the way, they took that and off of our stories again from the Cain and Abel story. They took all of that and they made it into the blood sacrifice. If you look at that story, their God, Cain and Abel presented a blood sacrifice offering. Cain presented fruits and flowers offering, like we do. Our Atlanteans, that's what we do, fruits and flowers. And their God smiled on the blood sacrifice. So Cain killed him. But guess what? They don't tell you this. Cain was supposed to kill him. Cain was supposed to kill Abel. He was blood sacrificing, incarnating hellish beings among people.
You got that part right, but Cain was the one who was the cattle herder, and Abel was the one who was the farmer who tilled the ground. He worked with the ground because he was earthborn. Cain worked with the cattle because he was incompatible with the earth itself, so he had to have a proxy to communicate to the earth, and that was his cattle. He sacrificed Abel the same as he sacrificed his cattle. Because that's the proxy. That's the old law of the sacrifice of the blood right from Babylonian blood magic.
Wow.
He was the first hominid sacrifice. If you go to the holy tablets of Dr. York, it tell you what Abel's real name is, and they got a picture of him in there. But he don't call him Abel, don't even refer to him as Abel. This is how you know who he's talking about. He said the Anunnaki slayed him to harvest his DNA in order to make modern humans. So we are a collective of this individual. And the more of us align to the frequency, the more control of the planet we have.
That's right.
Right? So the hard part for us, and this is where we coming out of, was to realize that they look like us, but they not us. They got the melanated skin and they got the kingly hair, but they got the heart of something that's not from here. They believe that if shit get tight, they could give you their child as a sacrifice to straighten it out. We believe if shit get tight, nigga, I'm coming to get that hook or crook, and you stand the fuck away from my babies. Right? We leave the babies with the women when we go fight war. And then when we come back home, we teach the sons how to be warriors. But we didn't never have wars like we have now. These wars that with all this bloodshed is actually a ritual. Earth's wars are bloodletting rituals to maintain the system. If you go look in Europe, one of them cathedrals over there got a big old cup of blood. And it was told to the invaders that as soon as that cup runs over with the blood of the saints, which is the earthborn. When they say saint, they talking about the purified beings of the earth. Any being that come here that doesn't wish to conform to the rules or formulate their own doctrine and their own institutions, and then they'll try to impose it upon us. Whatever they give us, our responsibility as the earthborn is to make that shit our own. That's why Elijah Muhammad Islam don't look like Orthodox Islam. And that's how us gravitate to that, because this is a subconscious memory. Anything come to the Americas, I don't care if it's the church, the mosque, the synagogue, I don't give a fuck if it's Buddha, Confucius, Taoism, Jainism, Hinduism, I don't give a fuck what it is. When it comes to the Americas, we're going to take the best shit from it and repurpose it to help our people uplift. Now, when we look back at the history, we see a continual step by step fight for liberation cut down by the same motherfuckers that look like us. We can go all the way back to Denmark Vesey and Gabriel Prosser. We can go, they tried to undermine Tucson, but they got slaughtered because they seen them coming. Most of us on the mainland don't have enough mental prowess because we've been systematically taught through some shit called education how to be idiots on demand. So they training us to be idiots. They want us to take the stance of a permanent victim, so we suffer from a psychological condition called learned helplessness, where we just give up and lay there while they continuously torturing us. This is all science. This is how, and when you apply it to the military backdrop of what's be an invasion, and then it start to come into paint its own picture. And then you on this motherfucker like, holy shit. They look like us, but they ain't us people. They use pale faces to hide their dirty black hands. And then dirty black hands is the same black hands that was hanging from under KKK robes.
As a black nobility.
Black nobility.
Yeah.
Those was the conquistadors. So they got the Fez Museum because we had to take our feathers off, live in the communities in the inner cities, as they call it now, the concrete jungles. And they had to take their feathers off and live in the concrete jungle. So they right there with us. That's why Tupac say, while the police coming in with riot gear, we don't got riot gear. We don't got mace and gun. We living next door to these criminals. That's them. This is what Tupac was telling us the whole time. He said, it's telling me it's the white man I should fear, but it's my own kind doing all the killing here. He telling us the whole time. Then he showed us. Watch Jimmy Henchman, Czar Records, a European noble in dark skin. Right? But Haitian Jack gave him the keys to the conjure. This is what you do. 22 months, you got to parade around out here in the front line. And at the end of that 22 months, the turnaround time, because of the size of this effort, it takes 22 years to come into fruition to call the next one in line. And here I go, 22 years to the letter. What's the timer? Lil Rah-Rah, how old are you? I'm 11. What you gonna be when you grow up? I'm gonna be an outlaw. 22 years later, enter Nipsey Hussle. Right? So Nipsey is the materialization of the Little Rah-Rah character, right? In 22 years on the turnaround of the conjure, that's going to reenact the Tupac situation in order for the Ogun, that old goon, to come out and answer that legba. The Ogun will always answer the legba. The legba gonna always give him a comprehensive layout of the land. So what was the last video he did? How do you want it? Remember him breaking the mirror? That's a message. I set the mirrors up all over the land, nigga. You can't miss this shit. I guarantee I sparked a brain that'll change the world. I'm not saying I'm gonna change the world. I don't have to change it. All I had to do was set the mirrors up. Right?
That's right.
This next dude that come after me, he ain't gonna be so motherfucking nice. Yeah. I was the nice guy. But this next dude, how you know the next motherfucker coming? Listen while I take you back and lace this track, a real live tale about a snitch named Haitian Jack. Knew he was working for the feds, same crime, different trial, nigga, picture what he said. And did I mention, promise to pay back Jimmy Henchman. In due time, I know you bitch niggas is listening. The world is mine. They wake me up, set me up. I heard your guns bust, but you bitches have shut me up. Touch one of mine on everything I owe. I will destroy everything you touch. Play the game. It's all out warfare, nigga, eye for eye. The last words to a bitch nigga, why you lie? Don't worry about your back, nigga, watch your front. Because they was doing that shit behind our back. So I pulled that shit out in front of our face. They was doing it in front of our face behind our back by talking in code. Right? So once you get done understanding the codes that's being flipped, you see the whole story. They look like us, they not us. They use pale faces to block the institutions. It was 9 primary institutions they was blocking: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And the counter doctrine to it is written by Dr. Neely Fuller, who I personally talked to, and he gave me the rundown. And this is the defense for the ones who is the black pieces on the galactic chessboard. This is your defense manual. You don't have a defense manual. So he wrote the defense manual. Before there was Camus, who wrote The African Art of War, Neely Fuller wrote the United Independent Compensatory Code concept for breaking the chains of white supremacy. White supremacy is a military doctrine. He was in the military when he wrote the counteroffensive, right? He said he got it while he was in Japan. He was in the mountains of Japan. I mean, he got it directly from the All-Father, Anu, the Most High, who sent it down as a counter strategy for the terror of Enlil. How do I know this? Because in the same mountains he got the download is where you find the tribe called Anu, A-I-N-U, the tribe of Anu. Those his people who got trapped on Earth when Enlil launched his attack. they came down for a stateside visit, right? Some of his children in India is known as Dravidians, who is also coming off the Inky line with the big afros and the big nose, look like the Jacksons in the early days, right? So who's who on the planet Earth? Malachi wrote the book. I answered the question, right? So when you start talking about a Khalifa and all that shit, so anyway, once they decided to launch this war, then that's when the invasions of the earth begin. You can trace it back. It's traceable. When the Romans was fighting wars, who was they fighting? Vedics, Mongolians, and Huns. Who did they bring over here as their servants? Vedics, Mongolians, and Huns. Who did they presidentially declare chiefs to sign contracts called treaties on our behalf? Vedics, Mongolians, and Huns. And some of the Vedics was Albions. An Albion Vedic looked like a pale-skinned white person. Well, we call them white, but they ain't white. The white is a royal classification of the European nobility. They call free white persons in law. As free white persons in law, they are the ones that's going around attacking everybody. Where's a citadel of peace? Switzerland. How do we know this? Because Switzerland fund every war, but they don't be in them. Hegelian dialectic at
Sure, he popped down. Yeah, he was absolutely right though. Oh, we got you out of we got no microphone on you, bro.
His internet connection probably bumped off, man. I don't know what's going on, bro. But he'll dropping nothing but stones right there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. That's the Jones. You just listen to the God on that, man.
There you go. Okay. I'm like, man.
They kicked me out. I was making that shit too clear. It's too obvious to follow the steps I'm telling you. So look, they bring these motherfuckers over here, the Mongolians, the Huns, and the Vedics. Some of them sided with us. You can tell them today because they telling the world these motherfuckers with this nappy hair was over here fighting a war. For us, they over here as the original motherfuckers that was already here. Then you know the ones that took side with the invaders because they want us to shut the fuck up. Stop telling people you indigenous to the land, you organic. I like to use organic because we sprang up like the motherfucking Mississippi trees out the Delta. I'm telling motherfucker in a minute, I'm walking Mississippi clay dirt on this bitch. Wherever I'm at, Mississippi clay dirt walking around. Right? This is where my motherland and my fatherland trace to. Two different sides of the Mississippi River. Right? So my father from Canton, my mother from Magnolia, which is down by Macomb. About 600 and something thousand acres of land belonged to my grandfather personally, that they built cities on top of. I know what's going on. And we going to get that. But first we got to get all of the tribes as informed as possible about us reclaiming our birthrights and our heritage back. All of this culture that they've been appropriating around the world is what we call in modern terminology, Mississippi Delta culture. From the blues to the rock and roll to the motherfucking hip hop, all that's Mississippian culture. To the motherfucking break dancing on the break beat, to the motherfucking pop locking robot, all that's Mississippian culture.
That goes back to 350 million years ago. That's the Carboniferous period. The Carboniferous period is the Mississippi and the Pennsylvania. There was two pieces to the Carboniferous period that happened 350 million years ago, nowhere else on the planet. And one of those parts of that Carboniferous period was the Mississippian.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
But
right,
the
brother.
Mississippian as a terminology is relatively new. But we know the people that they're referring to when they say, because
That's right.
they come from both sides of the Mississippi, from the banks, right? And this is because Big Mama house was in Louisiana in the bayou. You used to have to go to Big Mama. All my prior lifetimes, I rode a raft through the Mississippi, through the Louisiana Delta region in the swamp to go to her house that stood on stilts. This time I come back, she in Chicago. Something wrong. I know it off birth. I don't know what's wrong yet. I'm a baby. But I know off birth, I'm not going down this motherfucking swamp to get my blessing from my big mama. Something is wrong. Now I'm gonna figure it out. It might take me 50 years, but I'm gonna figure it out. And when I figure it out, I'm gonna let all the clans know this affects us all. We got invaded. They invaded California by going around South America. And that was the Spanish Armada. They attacked us on the East Coast. And while we were so busy sending all of the clans to Florida area, which was then Florida stretched from Florida to Louisiana, we was called to war by the Big Mama of the Gullah Geechees. That's why we concentrated in Florida. And then they was invading the islands. So when Tucson sent the call out for Babalao to
Damn.
Hey man, I appreciate
it, bro.
Yeah, it's Creole. Yeah, that's definitely the info, man. Hey man, but I appreciate you having me up, man. I had a great time up here, man. So
they keep doing. Every time Rod come up here and he say certain things, it just, you feel me?
No, that's letting you know I'm dropping real motherfucking knowledge.
Brother, man. I gotta get slotted soon, but I appreciate you dropping the knowledge, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming up and joining me on the platform. Thank you to Z Energy God. Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. I appreciate both of y'all brothers, man. We getting this shit in. This shit almost over though. Any day this shit could end.
Yep. I can feel it, man. I can feel it.
I'm doing my part every day. That's what we do out here. We all doing our part and we pushing it. We ain't sitting there playing in the background. We on deck.
I'm bringing spiritual awareness to like all the people right now, for who they is and what the energy represents, on their behalf. Because a lot of people don't know how to accept the energy and they fear it. So I'm just bringing awareness to the spiritual side, because everybody have to play their part.
Me, I had to learn everybody who brought a doctrine to the land's doctrine. So I got to be able to talk to every clan.
That's right.
So that's why my knowledge is so vast. It ain't because I'm better than nobody. It's just I had a different responsibility.
Yeah, I can see it. You carry a lot on your shoulder. I can see it, man. I can feel it.
And
we appreciate you, brother. Keep going though.
Yeah, I have to say with you, man. I'm and this here. And I'm with that, bro. Hey, look, you be having me rolling this when you be like, they try to tell us something that wasn't true, and you catch it, you be like, yeah, they told us that, but as you can see here,
he's slapping right up.
He's
slapping right up.
I be reading them receipts, dying laughing, man. I be like, get them niggas, twist their caps.
There's a lot of joints I can't drop on that platform. I'm trying to move the platform because they shadow ban. You know how they do. They want to do everything they can to stop us, but they can't. This is a freight train. So, hey man, I appreciate y'all. I want to say divine honors to the universe, divine honors to our ancestors, and divine honors to our beautiful planet, and peace to the gods and the goddesses of our universe.
Peace to the gods.
Yo, Rod, man, whenever you get a chance, man, I definitely want to speak on some spiritual stuff when you get a chance, man. You know, that's my thing.
All right, well, we'll do something else a little later. Just holler at me.
Okay, all right, God. Appreciate it, man. Much love to you, man.
All the time.
Yeah. Feathers up, man. Feathers up, man.
Yes, sir.